Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can easily create this cosmic illustration even if you're a beginner at Procreate. I'll be explaining about the important Procreate features such as alpha lock and showing you some gesture shortcuts you can use to help make your workflow more efficient. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button to catch up on all of my upcoming tutorials. And finally, if you recreate this drawing, please tag me in your Instagram posts because I just love to see all of your wonderful results. Now before we get into the tutorial, let me show you the main brushes I will be using in this video. First, we have the monoline brush. If you've seen my previous videos, you know that this is my favorite brush to use for drawing shapes and outlines because it is super smooth and it maintains the thickness as I'm drawing. Second, we have the soft brush, which you can find in the airbrushing selection on your app. I'll be using it for some shading and color blending. There's also the light pen, which you can find in the luminance selection. I'll be using this brush to dot the stars in the sky. Finally, there's my textured brush, which is Gracia by Jungle of Colors. I'll include the purchase link below in the description, but you can easily use any of Procreate's built-in free brushes, such as the 2B compressed brush, which you'll find in the charcoal selection, or the medium nozzle brush in the spray paint collection. I've also created a custom color palette for this drawing, which you'll find the link for in the description below. You can download this image, insert it to your Procreate canvas, and then hold your finger on the screen on each color to select it. Now let's get started. With my iPad laid out vertically, I've created a new screen size canvas to work on. As you can see here, I've put all my colors in one palette and set it as default to keep it visible at all times. Now let's start by selecting our background layer and changing its color to this yellow pastel shade. Moving on an empty layer, select your medium pink shade and go for the monoline brush to set its thickness to around 20%. Start by drawing a circle and hold your pencil on the screen to refine your shape, then continue by holding your finger on the screen to perfect the circle. Now let's draw two vertical lines on each side of our circle. Make sure you hold your pencil and finger at the end of each line to get them perfectly vertical. Finally, let's close off our shape with a horizontal line at the bottom. Make sure your shape is closed and fill it in. And now let's shade it. Swipe on your layer with two fingers to the right to alpha lock it. Alpha lock allows you to shade only within the shape on your layer. Now let's select a light blue shade and pick the soft brush from the airbrushing selection on Procreate. Set brush thickness to around 20% and start to softly add some blue to the window's right side. Now I'm going for a darker blue from my palette and shading my shape from the bottom and slightly to the left. Here I'm going for a medium blue to blend in my colors. You can go back in with your pink color to blend even more. Blending your colors here is really important because we don't want to see any defined edges between each color. Now I'm sliding the hue bar slightly towards the green to get a brighter blue and add it to the middle of my shape. If you find yourself unable to blend well, you can always try to give your shape some gaussian blur from the adjustment settings while keeping alpha lock on instead. Moving on, let's create a new layer for our first cloud. Go for white and select your monoline brush. Now to make things easier, go to your window layer, tap on the thumbnail to get this little menu, and then tap on select. Now go back to your newly created layer while keeping the window selected. This will allow you to draw only within the window's shape borders, which is exactly what we want for the clouds. Feel free to create your own cloud shapes, or you can just follow my movement. As you can see, I'm holding my pencil on the screen after drawing each cloud curve. This is in order to avoid any squiggles or messy lines. You can then close off your cloud shape by drawing a horizontal line at the bottom like this. Make sure you hold your finger and pencil at the end to perfect the line and then fill in your shape. Now let's create a new layer for our second cloud while keeping the window selection we did earlier. For this cloud, I'm drawing an almost mirrored version of my first cloud in order to keep my elements balanced. Close off your shape and fill it out. Now you can tap on the selection icon above to turn it off. Now let's draw the planet. Create a new layer and place it under your clouds. Now pick a bright pink. Hold your pencil and then your finger at the end to perfect the circle. You can select your shape to adjust placement and then fill it in. Now create a new layer on top of the circle to draw Saturn's ring. Select a golden yellow color. Make sure you're using the monoline brush and adjust its thickness to around 80%. Now draw a slanted oval shape like this and hold your pencil at the end. You can tap on Edit Shape to adjust it. Next, select your monoline brush as an eraser and let's remove this extra part like this. You can lower eraser thickness to get the edges accurately. Now let's move on to shading our planet. Alpha lock the circle and ring layers by sliding 2 fingers to the right like this. Starting with the circle, select a medium pink shade, pick your textured brush, and adjust thickness. Now shade the top right side softly like this. Continue to select a lighter pink and highlight the top right section to give some depth to the shape. Now I'm going for a darker reddish pink to add some extra contrast to the bottom of the left section of the planet. Try to gradually shade your shape to avoid any unblended sections. Now go back in with a light pink. Lower brush thickness, and let's highlight the bottom of the planet where there should be some light reflection. You can also do that on the left side a bit and slightly under the clouds. Next, let's go for a brownish red color so we can draw the shade casted by the ring on the planet. With your textured brush still selected, lower thickness to match the ring thickness. And let's draw a curve right under the ring like this. Now to shade the ring, swipe the layer with 2 fingers to the right to alpha lock it, and select a bright yellow color. I'm also highlighting the right part of it. Now go for a dark golden color, and let's add some contrast, especially on the parts that go behind the planet or the cloud. Make sure your shading is soft and blended by always starting with light pencil pressure and then increasing it as you see fit. I'm also darkening this little inner corner on the right side to increase depth. For the next step, we're going to choose our textured brush as an eraser. Go to your bottom cloud layer and soften the bottom like this. Don't put too much pressure on the screen because we want this to be a very soft gradient without any sharp edges. Start from the bottom and softly work your way up, following the cloud's curves on top. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for the top cloud. If you feel like the planet and ring are starting to slightly show below the cloud, you can swipe your layer to the left and duplicate it. This will keep your gradient, but slightly increase opacity. You can then continue by tapping on the layer's thumbnail and hitting merge down to turn both layers into one. If the gradient is a bit rigid, you can edit your newly merged layer using your eraser again. Next, we're going to add some color to the clouds. Select a medium pink and let's alpha lock both cloud layers by swiping with 2 fingers to the right. Make sure your textured brush is selected, and with decreased thickness, let's very softly shade the top of this cloud by following the curves we drew earlier. Now select a bright yellow and let's do the same, but make sure you don't shade right over the pink we added. Try to keep these colors as subtle as possible and think of them as light reflections coming from the planet and ring. Now do the exact same thing on the second cloud below. Now let's draw a little crescent moon. Add a new layer on top, pick white as your color, and select the monoline brush. Decrease thickness to around 20% and let's start. Draw half a circle and hold your pencil at the end. Now repeat that step but with a smaller half circle. Make sure you close your shape and fill it out. You can always come back in with your monoline brush as an eraser to refine your shape and sharpen the edges. Now, to give our moon some glow, let's duplicate this layer, select the bottom one, and go to Adjustments, Gaussian Blur, and tap on the layer option. Now slide your pencil on the screen while looking at the blur percentage here on top. Let's blur to around 4 or 5% only. You can now tap on the Adjustments icon again to exit blur mode. For our next step, we're going to draw the stars. Create a new layer below the moon. Go to Luminance Brush Selection and select the light pen. Make sure you're working with white and dot the stars like this. As you can see, I'm randomizing my dotting to make stars look more realistic. You can also change pencil pressure for each star to create different sizes. Moving on, let's draw the window edge. Go to your original window layer, tap on the thumbnail, and hit on Select. While it's selected, create a new layer on top of the window layer. And now whatever we draw on this new layer will be restricted to the selection shape, which is the window. Pick a dark blue color and select your monoline brush. Now increase its thickness to the max. Actually, let's place our new layer on top of the cloud layers so that they don't cover the window edge we're about to draw. Start by drawing a vertical line here, and hold your pencil and finger at the end. Now let's draw the curve on top. Try to mimic the window curve we've already drawn, and make sure to hold your pencil at the end. You can now tap on Edit Shape to adjust the curve. It should be positioned in a way that blends in with the vertical line you drew earlier. Now to draw the bottom edge, create a new layer on top and pick a slightly darker blue. Draw a horizontal line like this and hold your pencil and finger at the end to straighten it. Now pick the monoline brush as an eraser and erase the right section of the line to give it a slant. Hold your pencil at the end to straighten the section. You can also modify your erased line by tapping on Edit Shape. As you can see, the window edge is awkwardly covering our planet ring, so let's fix that. Select the ring layer, tap on its thumbnail, and hit Select. Now, with the selection on, go back to the edge layer. With 3 fingers, swipe the screen left and right like this to erase the selected ring shape from the edge layer. I'm just turning off the ring layer here to show you guys the erased part. Now our problem is fixed. Next, let's shade the edges we just drew. Swipe both layers with both fingers to the right to alpha lock them, and let's start with our curved edge. Pick a dark blue color and select your textured brush. I'm increasing thickness a bit and shading from the bottom upwards. Let's also darken the top curve like this. Now pick a bright blue color and let's highlight some parts. I'm brightening the inner side of the edge where the light from the moon would hit it. I'm now going to emphasize that more with an even lighter blue. Moving on, let's shade the bottom edge. Select the layer and with the light blue still in use, let's brighten the middle part. Now going back to our dark blue, let's darken the right part where both edges meet. Make sure you blend your shades well. You can go back in with the light blue if you feel there are any parts that need blending. And now for my favorite part, let's draw the kitty. Create a new layer on top of the edges and select a dark blue color. Then pick the monoline brush. Decrease thickness and follow my cat outline shape. For an easier way to draw the cat, you can import a cat silhouette picture and trace it instead. Now close off your shape and fill it out. Here, I'm just placing the cat layer on top of the edge layer so that it doesn't cover it. Now for the tail, I'm drawing a very simple curve and closing it off like this. Make sure the tip of the tail is slightly smaller than the top part. Now close off your shape and fill it out. Now that we have the cat, let's shade it. Alpha lock the layer, pick a grayish light blue color and select your textured brush. Softly brighten the right side of the cat. This is where the light should reflect off the window edge onto the cat's back. Next, pick our medium pink and highlight the cat's left edge like this. Make sure you decrease your brush size for this so you can only highlight the edges of the cat's ears. This time, you don't have to blend your shade too much because it should be a strong highlight. And now for our final element, let's draw the little ladder right here. Create a new layer, pick a dark blue color, and select your monoline brush. Adjust thickness to around 20% and let's get started. Draw a small slanted line like this and hold your pencil at the end. Now continue with a vertical line and hold both your pencil and finger at the end. When you're done, slide this layer to the left and duplicate it. Now tap on the cursor icon and make sure that magnetic option is on. Move the new layer to the right while keeping its vertical position. Now go back to the new layer, tap on its thumbnail, and hit merge down. Now that both parts of the ladder are on one layer, let's draw the steps. I'm going to simply draw 4 horizontal lines. Make sure you hold your pencil and finger at the end of each line and try to keep the distance between them identical. Now let's alpha lock this layer. Select our medium pink and textured brush. And increase brush size. I'm softly shading the bottom and left side of the ladder in pink to give it some hue. Now pick a light blue and let's do the same on the right part. With the same blue, decrease brush size and let's highlight the ladder's handles on top like this. So we're pretty much done here, but if you'd like to add a final touch to your drawing, I'm going to show you how you can draw the shadows on the wall casted by the cat and the ladder. Starting with the ladder, slide its layer to the left and duplicate it. Now hold your finger on the screen to select our background color. And from that, pick a darker shade like this. While both layers are still alpha locked, pick the bottom one and select any brush from the airbrushing set. Increase brush thickness and color the entire ladder. As you can see here, our bottom ladder is now brown. Select it and let's move it slightly to the left. Now tap on the layer's thumbnail and turn off alpha lock. Then go to Adjustments, Gaussian Blur, and pick the layer option. Slide your pencil to the right and let's set the blur at around only 2 to 3%. Next, tap on the layer with 2 fingers to adjust opacity. You can now slide your pencil to the left to slightly decrease the shadow's opacity. Finally, for the cat, we're going to do things a bit differently. Simply create a new layer below your cat and let's draw the shadow. With the same brown color still in use, select your textured brush and decrease thickness to almost match the cat's tail thickness. Now softly mimic the tail's curve, only on its left side. And we are done. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and found it useful. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this one. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments section below and I will do my best to help you out. Thank you for watching. See you next time.